just when you think it cannot get any more gross, just when you think there is nothing sacred that Meghan Markle has not yet used in her grey, craven desire for publicity and for sales, she goes and does this. The fake Duchess using Princess Diana's birthday to launch her new wine range. And even briefing to her favourite Hello magazine that this is some type of sick tribute to the late Princess of Wales. Look at this. Meghan Markle continuing to make bold moves ahead of what would have been Princess Diana's birthday with a meaningful announcement of her own. The Duchess of Sussex quietly revealed a fresh launch date for her sold-out lifestyle brand as ever, surprising fans with the news that the next drop of her highly coveted Napa Valley Rosé will go live on none other than what would have been Diana's 64th birthday next week on July the 1st. The announcement came with a sun-drenched image of a bottle of the wine, elegantly styled poolside. The date is a poignant one for Meghan, who has spoken openly about the emotional connection she feels with her late mother-in-law, describing her as someone I wish I'd had the chance to know. Angela Levin, our Royal Mastermind, this is sick, this is twisted, and unfortunately it's what we've come to expect. How on earth can this woman believe that it is appropriate for a single second to use Diana's birthday to punt out her shitty rosé wine as if this is some type of tribute? This is twisted.
Yeah, I mean, it made me feel sick. It
Yes.
really did. I really did. One, because she doesn't know her. Secondly, which is interesting, was that she's complaining about Harry always going, backwards. And there she is doing exactly the same, but she can because she's an amazing woman providing us, the world, with wonderful goods. And I just can't believe it. The other thing is that she's keeping Harry close to know, remember about his mother, to think about his mother, to do all these things about his mother. Obviously, it's a very good thing if he thinks occasionally, but it shouldn't be pounded into her by his wife so that she makes a lot of money on that. I think it's absolutely disgusting. And Hello magazine, which is doing this, which you did read, oh, she so much wishes she had a chance to know her. I don't know how any magazine can actually take that. Diana was a wonderful woman, but she has died a long time ago. But you don't want some snippet, some nasty lying person to actually use her to sell things and to make more money.
It's vulgar. It is utterly vulgar. It is utterly vile. And I almost start to think, Angela Levin, is this just Meghan purposefully trying to upset Prince William? Because she knows, and Harry knows, and by the way, Harry should have stepped in here and said, absolutely not, you crazy woman. Absolutely not. Delay it. Do it in 2 days' time. It makes no difference. Absolutely not. So he's a weak, pathetic man for allowing this madness to go on. But do you think maybe she's purposefully trying to upset William? Because William has decided that these anniversaries should now be marked privately, that there shouldn't even be any type of public commemoration, let alone someone flogging a crappy product off the back of his late mum.
Well, William actually said 1 year after Princess Diana had died that he doesn't want any more talking about it. He doesn't want her to be drawn into anything that anybody else is doing. And he spoke to the journalists and he actually made it very clear that he didn't want that. And Harry agreed with him. So, Meghan, of course, wouldn't listen. I mean, she might not have been there, so that's, something. But it is so disgusting. It's so revolting. And Harry jolly well should have said something like, look, I know you feel that you're very close to my mother, but don't try and sell your wine on the same day. Ah, dear. I mean, makes you scream with anger at her. It shows what she's like, doesn't it? You can never say, well, I made a bit of a mistake. She's this sort of person, or she doesn't know that, or she's not aware of how royal family lives because it's not going to be very common. You can't make an excuse for her for this. You just cannot. It's the most unnecessary, heartless, spiteful, nasty thing to do.
Big news! Outspoken is now available as a podcast too. So please do subscribe wherever you get yours, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and make sure you rate and review. I'll take 5 stars, if you may. And she knows exactly what she's doing. I mean, the thing is, Angela, when you think about this...
She's for that. Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, because...
Everything is...
Sorry, you go.
Everything is very carefully detailed. She knows all these things. She's been meticulous with that for a long time to get it right, to hit the right person, to tell them how good she is. All these things are done. And, if somebody wants to talk to her, she tells them what they have to say. I mean, she's in control. But just look, oh gosh, how ghastly she is. Sorry
But
to
Angela, she's
interrupt.
got a track... Well, I was just going to say she's got a track record, though, too, of using Diana and emotionally manipulating Prince Harry. Right down to things like, oh, your mum was with me at the yoga class this morning. She's so happy that we've come to London for this event. I mean, it's highly manipulative stuff when you already have a very, very mentally unwell, psychologically damaged husband.
Yes, it is, isn't it? And the fact that she does that perhaps is to keep him close to her, and he feels therefore he's also close to his mother. And she did say when they got engaged and they had that interview, she and Meghan kept saying, "Oh, she can feel her. I can feel that she's looking down on us." And Harry just believed the lot. What a dope, actually, really. Somebody did anything similar to me and said, "Get out, how dare you?" Harry should say that. How dare you? How dare she?
I mean, of course he should, but he won't. And Angela, the whole problem is this as ever relaunch is just spin. Okay, so let me take you through the spin that Meghan has put out to In Style magazine. So they're saying this is an exclusive. Meghan Markle's brand sells out inventory again. The company has experienced success beyond what we anticipated. They summed up the gist of it by saying, for the first time, Meghan Markle's lifestyle brand as ever is exclusively sharing metrics about how the business is doing following its second product drop. Despite increasing inventory drastically by 10 times to be exact, the 8 products offered Friday still sold out within 4 hours. Next up, the brand's newest product, as ever, Napa Valley Rosé, which will be available on July the 1st. And this is one of these total puff pieces, Angela, just spin. But I will take you through some of it, because they say that as ever is sharing metrics on how the business is doing, and told In Style exclusively that the response to this collection has been truly overwhelming and beyond what we anticipated, even with the increased production capacity. In Style understands the brand increased its inventory nearly 10 times out of the first collection, which sold out its 8 product offerings in just 45 minutes. This time around, for the June 20th drop, there was a 2-time increase in site traffic compared to the first collection, and all of the products released on Friday sold out within 4 hours. A spokesperson for As Ever, so translation Meghan herself, said, while we did significantly scale up quantities, the demand has consistently outpaced our projections. This is both exciting and challenging. We're continuing to work with our partners to find the right balance between maintaining our quality standards and meeting the desire for As Ever products. Now, according to Taz on this, just said, oh, come on. It's total bullshit. She has used the same trick as last time. She sold out because she didn't have many products. Another jam scam in true Meghan style. She's just blowing her own trumpet for achieving very little. And I think that's where we're at, Angela, because this strategy was all about her denying that she's going for the scarcity strategy. And she admitted to Tina Knowles, remember we sat through that dire podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder. She admitted to Tina Knowles that it would be a failure if the product sold out so quickly this time. But yet she's repeated the same strategy, a scarcity strategy, expecting us to buy into this rubbish.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with that completely. Because if you've sold out anything, which I don't believe in the first place, I think the numbers were much lower than actually they've said on the first lot. Now, the second lot, you should actually get loads of them, absolutely loads, because you want to keep selling. But she doesn't. She wants to actually say how wonderful she is that she has sold them, when I don't believe a word of it. I don't think that people would rush for it. And the criticisms have been enormous. So I don't think that they would say to their friends or anybody saying, oh, it's really good, you must get it. Absolutely the opposite. And actually you can believe that much more than you can believe her. The thing is, you can't really believe Meghan at all, but for her to say that well, doing exactly the same thing for a few more is absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I think she's bored. I think she's had enough of actually getting people to work quite hard and to package it and do that. She likes to do the packaging. I think it's vitally important. So she does all this, but I think she's very bored with it now. Like everything, she wants to do things for a short time, then go away and do something else. And if it does take a lot of work, and we've heard from people talking about making food and selling it, you have to really work hard night and day to get it done. Well, she probably does it like she deals with giving money for charity. She does that about once a week for half an hour or an hour. And this is the same thing. She doesn't want to really work hard. She's not going to do that. She didn't want to really work hard when she was at Buckingham Palace, because that's not what she wanted, and certainly not if she didn't get paid for it. And it's all about just doing these things and then going off and doing something else. They don't last. She's not really anybody, a businesswoman, not at all, because a businesswoman works very hard, day after day and night after night to get their company or whatever it is going. But Meghan, if it doesn't work, she makes an excuse that, oh, it's done so phenomenally well. I can't believe it. And go on to something else.
But first, these days, we're living through economic whiplash, soaring prices, vanishing savings, and headlines that seem designed to confuse more than inform. Now, we're told this is all normal, right? That history's been rewritten for our own good and that embracing these changes is the only path forward. But every outlet tells a different version of reality, and the so-called fact checkers are just enforcing the approved narrative. Luckily, there's a solution. It's ground news, hands down, the easiest way to stay informed. It cuts through all the bias and spin so you can actually see what's going on and make up your mind. I have it on my phone and in my bookmarks online because it's become so essential to my daily life. And I want you to see for yourself at ground.news/outspoken. Oh, by the way, huge discount for you today, which I'll tell you about in just one moment. But first, I want to show you this incredible website and app in action. So we're going to use that story of Donald Trump agreeing to cut tariffs on UK auto, steel and aluminium, or aluminum, if we're talking from an American point of view, as part of a trade deal with Britain, one that could reshape global trade and has sparked debate on both sides of the political aisle. And you can see clearly in one place over 500 sources covering this story. But what Ground News does is then instantly show how the story is being covered by the media, broken down by whether it leans left or right, the bias distribution chart it is called, and I love it. Then if you scroll down, you can see every headline about the story, along with the political bias and ownership of the publication. Now, in this case, most of the coverage is from political outlets in the centre, but here's where it gets interesting. 49% of the sources come from outlets owned by giant media conglomerates, so no wonder the narratives feel so coordinated. When looking at the headlines, the left covered the story with skepticism. Wired fixated on the struggling reputation of Jaguar and framed the deal as a potential way to resurrect the brand. Bloomberg chose vague language, calling it a framework, which subtly questions whether the deal is even real. But the coverage on the right-leaning outlets, far more confident, with GB News celebrating a major victory for UK auto manufacturers, and the New York Sun calling it a full and comprehensive trade deal that strengthens US-UK ties. Now, my favourite feature of Ground News is the blind spot feed. This services upwards of 20 stories daily that receive the majority of coverage from one side of the political spectrum. If you love the news like I do, the blind spot feed is the best way to get a balanced perspective on what is happening. Go to ground.news/outspoken or just scan the QR code. if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, and you will get 40% off the same Vantage plan I use for unlimited access. So that's ground.news/outspoken for 40% off. But now, back to the show. Angela, we also had the release of a new video. Let's take a look at this. So she says this is her thank you video. So of course we get some Meghan calligraphy. Of course we get some apparent fruit, which we know she isn't using to make the jam herself. Weird shots as ever. But then, Angela, of course, Lilibet has to appear. Of course, Lilibet has to appear because she always appears. Now, let me take you through why this is significant, though, because it's all a part of what has now been described as Meghan's copycat phenomenon. So the Mail writes on this: the youngest child of Meghan and Prince Harry put on a sweet display in a light pink ensemble and a £35 rainbow bag from Jellycat, the popular British toy brand, which is famous for selling cuddly toys with smiling faces, is a firm favourite among the Prince and Princess of Wales children. And Princess Charlotte posed with a toy from the brand in a portrait in 2015. In May, so very recently, Angela, Prince William admitted that the viral plushies, is that right, are his brood's currency when chatting to Matteo Rabena, a 9-year-old brother of the inspirational cancer campaigner and photographer Liz Hatton, at a Buckingham Palace garden party. Matteo gave the couple two very special gifts: a plush Jellycat toy with Catherine taking one, and William a collector's item. So, Angela, it just looks like she's been a copycat again. This time working out what are the favourite toys of Catherine and William's kids. Oh, let's make sure we put them in this video. Because the thing is, if this was a one-off, Angela, you could maybe understand it. But it's time and again, isn't it? Because we also saw those pictures on Instagram of Meghan on a swing, just like Catherine had been on a swing. And it really does feel like it is a planned obsession now to copy all aspects of Catherine and William's life.
What's interesting is that she doesn't seem to have a complex for that, or to feel embarrassed or awkward about it, or saying, oh, I love that, let me do that, but then I won't do it again for quite a long while because I look ridiculous. But she doesn't. It's a way of, it's a determination in her that she's got to win, she's got to get what she wants. Anything you can do, I can do better type of attitude. Well, actually, it's worse, isn't it? It's never better. I've never seen her do anything better. And it's just for someone who's very strange. I use that word carefully, obviously, but why would anyone want to go on and on and on that? This is also living in the past. You've come away from the royal family. You've got your own life, lots of money and gardens and all that. Yet she goes back. She's going back more than Harry because she doesn't let it ease her at all. She just goes on and on and on about it. So someone should tell her that she's actually doing worse than Harry is and going backwards. He's doing it because he's hopeless about the whole world. And she's doing it because she thinks she's going to win. But it's the same old stuff.
It's the same old stuff always. And we know, Angela, that it's not leaving Harry in a good place. And we obviously spoke last week about how Harry is very much in meltdown at the moment, and we looked at a couple of his recent videos where he seems totally spaced out. He's just not altogether there. Deeply, deeply unhappy. But of course, there have been concerns about Prince Harry's mental health, Angela, and also his drug use now for decades. And it was something that you were obviously very much across as his biographer. You spent those couple of years with him. What do you think is going on with Harry at the moment?
Well, I mean, he's shrunk, hasn't he? He can't find anything to do that he wants to do or can do. He's with a woman who is such a controller that he can't actually be himself. He's just got to be someone who does what he's told, like a little boy, and that's it. And he's not going to have fun. He might laugh once. If Meghan laughs, he laughs, and that's it. But I just think that he's not well, is he really? He's not himself, and he does all these things like a robot, and it's just ridiculous. I remember that when he and his mother and William went on a cruise, they stopped, and one of the aides went off with Harry, who was 10, and he went round all the, obviously they don't have pubs there, but all the places where you could have drink, and he just had a brandy or a something, what this was, a brandy and wine and all sorts of things. And of course the aide couldn't actually stop him, and he went on and he got absolutely drunk, and then he got all the drugs, and at school he was taking drugs all the time. And in that case, all the people who were guarding him knew that he was taking much too much of anything. And they didn't dare tell King Charles, then Prince Charles, because they thought that they would get sacked. And I think Harry told them a bit of warning. In fact, I'm almost certain that he did, to say if he told anything to his father, that he would deny it so that they got rid of their jobs. So they were in a very difficult position. So it was hard. The king actually found out eventually, and but you know when they used to have parties when he went away, and that was all used to stink of drugs as well. So he's done it for a very long time, and I suppose he can't now suddenly stop. At one point, he was knowing how much he could take, but now I think he just does it to try and get away from the world and feel good. But it's not doing him any good at all, is it? I mean, it's just tragic, really, that he's just gone down and down and down.
It is. Well, look, P. Diner, who is going to be here on Outspoken tomorrow, actually, had some original reporting on this. Let's take a watch, Angela.
Be embarrassing, I think, for the king should something like this get out. But what people don't understand is that there are people that have access to the things that are happening, that it gets out in a secretive way amongst this small elite of people, and people talk about it. And so a source has reached out, and I've been privy from two separate sources of some information that I glean to be real and to be true, because it makes sense. Let's just go back to the history of what we do know about Harry. Okay, we do know that Harry's been very vocal about his alcohol and his drug use, and how he uses drugs to mask his anxieties and his past grief with the death of his mother. We know that he talked about in his book Spare how he relied on alcohol and drugs to mask how he felt amid panic attacks after his mom's death. He said, Harry's words, he was willing to drink, he was willing to take drugs, he was willing to try and do things that made him feel like he was actually feeling. He didn't like feeling the way he felt. And that's generally what happens with people who don't want to feel the pain when people have trauma. They want to take these drugs to mask the feeling of life's realities. There's a history there. There's a history of Harry not being able to cope with life in general. And he has even said, even with that show, The Me You Can't See, he's even said that he was willing to try and do things that made him feel less like he was feeling. And then he also went on to credit Meghan for helping him to seek therapy. Very interesting for a woman who couldn't find therapy to help her with her own thoughts of harming herself. But she was somehow able to really help Harry get the help he needed.
Angela, what do you make of that?
Well, I agree with all that, but I don't think she helped him. I think it was ideal for her. This is a horrible thing to say, but there you are. That she could do as she liked and she could control him. I mean, he has been controlled. You can see that. And he's been a fool that he couldn't actually get himself out of that and stand up for himself. it's a drug addict, isn't it, really? And once you're onto these things, you can't get rid of it. And unless he really, really wants to, he's not going to go. He can go to anybody to help him, but unless he's really determined, and it's not easy, he's got to do it himself. But Meghan, if she keeps on going, harping about Diana and, oh, I just heard her last night, and oh, she's so lovely, and I always want to feel close to her, and I wish I'd seen her, we're so similar, and all that nonsense. How's he going to get round that? He would love his mother to have seen her, but I bet you if she had done, she'd have tell her to get out of here, and that would be it. But you know, he's struggling on and getting nowhere, and he's just very unhappy, and that can lift him up a bit.
Now, there have been some claims, Angela, that the mainstream media have tried to cover up for Prince Harry when it comes to his health and drug issues for a long time. And I wanted to get your response on that because you're obviously someone who's close to both sides of this. So Paula M, the royal YouTuber, posted on X, respected royal expert reporters who are still around bringing you the truth with their excellent sources sold you Prince Harry as a lovable, cheeky prince when they knew what a nasty piece of work he was. The documentary was released only 5 years ago in spite of being made over 20 years ago. So tell me again why these MSM royal experts would not cover up Harry's overdose or drug addiction and only claim he is melting down. Angela, how do you respond to that?
So some of them feel that they can't say anything really against Harry. They couldn't. It's different now because he's no longer a member of the royal family. But they couldn't say anything. Otherwise, they wouldn't be invited. They wouldn't be allowed to go to all the other royal things. Their career would be ruined if they said those things because they wouldn't. The Buckingham Palace wouldn't be pleased to hear that. And they tried to protect him. I know when I went to get him sometimes, the aide would say to me, oh, be careful. He's in a bad mood today. He didn't get to bed to that, he's a bit grumpy, but I hope you're okay. Well, I was fine with him, actually. And not saying how wonderful I am, but he got over it. And I didn't take any notice of the grumpiness. Lots of people get grumpy. But I think that's it. They were frightened they would lose the job, just in the way, as I just said, about the people protecting him, about the drugs. They were frightened. They didn't want to lose their job either. And so they say all the nice things. He could be lovely. He could be lovely. But you have to, when royal people actually talk to you, and I'm sure you know the same thing, you have to be careful what you say. You have to be careful what you ask. I've always let them lead, and then I pop the questions along the line, and then that works. So I wouldn't go in and say, now, why are you drinking too much? Why are you doing this? But, if you have, oh, I'm so exhausted. Oh, what's the matter? Well, I had too much drink. Oh, really? That's a shame. And you sort of, you do it the other way around. I'm not saying it's easy. It isn't, but it's the same, someone in show business. You can't just go in and describe them as being absolutely horrible. It takes a while, doesn't it? It's the same thing. If they're very well known by the public, you would never get another chance to do a whole range of famous people that whose country who's under the attack by somebody who is running their lives. It's just very difficult.
Angela, big news today, and it has divided opinion. The tribute to Queen Elizabeth II announced in St. James's Park. We can have a look at it. It's sort of going to be a transparent bridge, but also encompassing the statue that people seem to like, Angela, but it will also include Prince Philip. Lots of people, though, saying this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough for the late Queen. What do you think of this tribute, Angela?
I think it's fine. I think she would love it that her much loved husband was there too, because they always wanted to be together, and he wouldn't like to walk further back than 1 or 2 steps. Let her go, and he'd be there. He was a man who made her feel very happy, and looked after her as much as he could. It's not, and I think that's very nice. I don't think she would be really fussy. She's not somebody who's grandiose. She wasn't someone who's so grandiose. She was a woman who tried to do her best for this country and the Commonwealth. And I think just to be there with him would have pleased her no end. And I think as long as it looks like her, often you get these statues where they sort of look like someone, but they don't get into the inside of them. So I think that's what she would have wanted much more, that it just really did look like him and it really did look like her. And it'll be lovely to watch. And I bet you loads of people will go and watch it and see that it's see what it's like. And they can put another one somewhere else, can't they, in due course? But this is the one that win the design for there. And people aren't forgetting neither of them. And I think that that's enough. I think she'd be delighted. There's always people who moan, isn't there? Always, always, always. And I think this is fine.
And of course, if you want first access to the Royal Uncancelled After Show, where we cover the stories that the Royal Rota are too afraid to touch, then do sign up to my Substack, www.outspoken.live. It's a brilliant way to support me because Substack is a free speech platform, so it also protects me from big tech cancellation. www.outspoken.live. Please do be there. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.